sorry. Did you feel lonely? I didn't realize back then it was really that bad for you. September started sweet, then winter got so mean. The fruit left on my sheets. If I could do it all again, I would have said, cherry, please, you killing me. It's only that bad, it's only that bad. If you tell yourself you never get out of bed, cherry, please, you killing me. It's only that bad, it's only that bad. If you tell yourself you never get out of bed. Forget the way things could have been. Did I learn anything? It was only that bad with you. September like a dream, but winter got so mean. The storm was underneath. If I could do it all again, I would have said, cherry, please, you killing me. It's only that bad, it's only that bad. If you tell yourself you never get out of bed, cherry, please, you killing me. It's only that bad, it's only that bad. If you tell yourself you never get out of
Welcome to Roots to Grooves. I'm Jesse Quigley. Sitting across from me is Jay Purcell. The two of us make up Roots to Grooves. What's up, Jay?
Welcome back, everybody. Hello.
How you doing, bro?
Good. How are you doing?
Pumped.
I say good. I say I'm bloody freezing, actually.
It got a little cold. It's still winter here in Seattle. I don't know if our heat's on.
The building management seemed to have switched off the boiler in the basement because it's an old building, and it's my nose is cold.
I know. No, mine is too. We're like sniffling here. We're barely gonna get through this episode.
You got your coat on. I should have put my coat on.
It's not too late. We might have to take a pause.
Continuity. No.
We got to survive. But we're here to heat things up with Magdalena Bay here on Roots to Grooves. We're talking about this duo. It's a pop music outfit. Mm-hmm. A boy and a girl.
A duo.
A singer. I guess, should we say their names?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I guess we could say their names. Mica Tenenbaum. She's a singer and, songwriter, artist. Yeah. And then Matthew Lewin is a producer, musician, and engineer.
Yeah.
I think he's featured on some vocals in there, but they both produce this music. It's synth pop. Mm-hmm. It's like progressive pop or hyper pop, you could say.
They described it themselves as future. Well, she said that they put this in their bios. Future 90s throwback space pop.
Yeah, perfect.
Or retro inspired pop. Yeah.
I was gonna say on their Spotify they put synth pop straight from the simulation.
There you go.
So I mean, yeah, I think these are giving us a good idea, our listeners a good idea of where these guys are coming from.
I don't think you need to say anything else really when you with those descriptions. Right
Yeah,
there,
after you heard that first song and that description,
pretty much describes it.
that's what we're talking about. So these guys are, so I just had to bring these up because they got a lot of hype around them. Like they keep coming up. I originally heard about them on TikTok.
Okay.
And kind of their thing is they only have one album out, a bunch of singles. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the history in a second. But they, I mean, what to say? Let's start with you, Jay. What do you think about these guys? Because this was my choice for the week.
Yeah.
What's your first impression?
So I think the first thing I did is I went onto Spotify, typed in their name, and saw that they are kind of new because they don't have much out. And I just went back, rewound to like their first thing. So I was listening to, I think, the mini mixes that they had put out, and liked what I heard. Like, I was sort of like not sure what was going on because they're called mini mixes.
Right.
I wasn't sure if it was them or whether it was music they curated or what.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the impression it was all them because it's their name on every track and it has a consistent sound across those. And it's good. It's very sort of clubby dance pop. Mm-hmm. I called it clubby because to me it's a little bit more not so much like pop that you would hear like Britney Spears do. Mm-hmm. It's more like electronic, clubby dance pop music.
Yeah.
Not cheesy in any way. Not, you can tell like whoever's making this music knows what they're doing. There's putting some thought into it more than just like, a team of 30 writers that have each written a tiny little bit of a pop song.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the impression I got from Magdalena Bay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Beyond that, I know you like your bands, your groups like Polish Ambassador and stuff like that. So I was sort of like, this is one of Jesse's electronic pop things. Yeah, no, I like.
Jay never likes my picks.
In a good way, I like Polish Ambassador.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it. And I never heard of them before. I'd never heard the name or any of their tracks.
I think nobody's heard of them before. They're just being known right now.
Right.
Because of us.
In the zeitgeist.
No, but yeah, I heard about them on TikTok, and so they're really well known for doing really weird kind of videos.
Yeah.
And then I guess we just touch on it real quick. Those mini mixes come from the videos.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Before we go any further.
Okay.
But these guys have done a really good job at incorporating their presence online with their music that they're making and kind of creating a whole vibe.
Right.
And that's kind of what's propelled them to the top of the zeitgeist where people are hearing their name and seeing them online and everything.
So you hadn't heard of some other people talking about how they're on TikTok? You actually discovered them?
Yeah, they just came up on like,
Okay,
their weird videos. I was like, these guys are weird and their music sounds weird.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm weird, so follow.
Great.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But they hooked me with their weirdness. They're just how their videos are very odd and weird, kind of kitschy, kind of like these VHS.
I saw a couple. I kind of want to talk about it, but maybe I'll save it for later on.
We'll stop. I'll stop too. That's basically all there is to say about their history, like as far as the general overview. They just got started. They're exploring pop music. They're exploring themselves and what that means to them and everything. Mm-hmm. So they're just kind of coming onto the scene, and they're pretty cool and they're pretty hip.
Yeah. Track.
We got one of their first tracks that they played. We'll describe more afterwards, but this is one of the first pop tracks that they came out with and released under Magdalena Bay.
Take what you want, don't look back, just forget about
That was Neon by Magdalena Bay. That was their first official release of this music, this pop project that they call in Magdalena Bay.
Yeah. So pretty cool, pretty vibes, right?
Yeah, that kind of gives me 80s pop vibes, but updated.
Yeah.
Without like the sort of obviously 80s sounds that you would have heard in that period, drum
Yeah.
sounds and stuff like that.
They are totally, kind of hijacking that 80s vibe and then including more modern production techniques and songwriting.
Yeah.
And then, that's Magdalena Bay.
Yeah, because someone said in an interview, it's like, how do you feel? They asked Mica, how do you feel about basically doing 80s pop music without ever having grown up in that period, kind of thing?
Called her out?
Yeah, well, I guess it sounded like a call out question, right?
Yeah.
But she said that it's kind of like that's kind of what most artists are doing now. Or if you think about it, any artist, like all musicians, artists are inspired by someone, and you're not necessarily inspired by someone that's currently releasing music to make music. You're usually inspired by people from like 20 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
She didn't say it in that way, but she said it's like, looking into the history, but like with a modern take on it through a modern lens is basically what she said, kind of thing.
Right.
Which makes perfect sense to me. And since she answered that, it makes me think that question was stupid.
It felt, just coming from what you said,
Yeah.
it felt a little passive aggressive.
It
Like
did
from
a
that
little bit.
interviewer.
It's one of those journalisty things where they ask like what they think is like a hard question to make you like roil you a little bit or something like that.
Get a nice juicy answer.
Yeah, but she gave a great answer. So yeah.
I wonder how old that guy was. If he's some 40-year-old journalist, or if he's like,
I don't
he
know.
could be 18-year-old kid.
Might have been a girl as well. I don't know who asked that, but yeah.
I do know Magdalena Bay. There's the duo Matthew and Mica. I think they're about 25 years old.
Yeah, they're pretty young. Yeah.
Just for context.
They grew up in Miami, so take us back to Miami in I don't know when, early 2000s. Like
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I guess they're
mid 2000s. They were in their high school then.
Yeah, they were probably born in like 1997 or something.
Damn.
So, just
I was playing shows in not quite then. 2 years after.
Almost.
99. I was playing shows in
They're
underage.
I mean, they're what do you call them? Gen Z. They'd be Gen Z, I guess.
Is that what it is? Yeah, they're not millennials.
Yeah, I think the cutoff is somewhere right in there.
Right. Yeah.
Which is cool. Anyway, just describing for context.
Yeah.
So, but they're based out of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So they live together. They also dated for a while.
I think they still date.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
I saw they broke up at one point. I didn't follow through with my research to see if they got back together.
I don't know. They still live together at least. Seems like
They're still a band together. That's close enough. But yeah, so they met. I guess I'm jumping all over the place.
Miami high school.
Let's go Miami high school.
That's where they actually met, I think.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. I think maybe they were high school sweethearts. I'm not sure exactly how they met.
I think so. I think we're talking about high school. We're talking about Miami. It was an after-school music program.
Yeah.
It was called Live Modern School of Music.
So they weren't actually going to the same high school, or were they? They met, but they definitely met at this.
So I think, I don't know. We're just having this conversation right now, I guess. But they got placed in a band together and started covering classic rock songs.
Right. Yeah.
Is one thing that I saw.
Yeah.
And Tenenbaum was the studious one. She went to the University of Pennsylvania.
Right.
And where she studied communications and performed with a all-female sketch comedy group.
Right. Yeah.
Or they call them a troupe, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
A comedy troupe. And then Matthew Lewin attended Northeastern University, I believe it's called.
Right.
And he pursued a music business degree.
So it's crazy because they started super young, because before they both went to university and that they were still in high school. And like you said, they met at this after-school music program in their hometown.
Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy on the specifics of that time narrative. But
I mean, they definitely, they were doing this before going off to college and university.
Yeah.
And so this was like, we don't know the specifics of what the nature of this after-school music program. All I know is that they said they were placed in a band or placed with musicians to create a band kind of thing.
Right.
And so basically, like Matthew, how you say his last name? Lewin?
I think Lewin.
Lewin, yeah. Well, I'm going to call him Matt because everyone calls him Matt and everything I've seen.
Sounds
Mica
good to
calls
me.
him Matt.
Fair.
He is like super into prog rock, which if people don't know is progressive rock is the way of saying it, prog rock. It came about mid to late 60s. The people say it had its peak in the early 70s, although I know for a fact that it's continued right up to this day, prog rock.
Yeah.
Back in my day, I've like supported some old prog rock bands. Can't remember their names. All I know is like one of them, South Park made fun of them. So they were that famous that South Park made fun of them. That's all I knew.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you got haters, you're doing something right.
Yeah, and I guess like prog rock, when I was growing up in the 90s and that, it kind of had at least with me and my teenage friends being in a band, prog rock was kind of like a cheesy thing. Like, you know, it's like wanky music, you know.
So there's an era of it being kind of an old school thing. And like, so one of the bands, you've heard of Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
one of, Yes?
Yes.
The band?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Sure. I don't know what Jay's talking.
Sure. You've heard of them as well. Yeah.
Sure.
That's
You've
the
heard
microphone.
The
that
prog
Yes,
rock,
I
the
think
prog
that's
rock band Sure?
I think that's the microphone that Yes used. Maybe.
Sure thing. That's right. We figured it out. No, but Matt
Yes.
Matt.
Lewin.
is he was a fan of Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of his.
Sorry.
I know. We're trying to hold this together, guys. We're
He's a fan
freezing.
yeah, but he was also a fan of Pink Floyd. He
Right.
said The Wall was the first album he'd ever listened to beginning to end, all the way through.
And
Genesis.
yeah, Genesis. That's what one I couldn't think of.
That's how I learned how to play drums, was playing along to Genesis records.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, Phil Collins. That's one of the. I think like Matt goes back even further, and he's into. I think Genesis when Peter Gabriel was in the band, so it's like early,
Quick side quest. Are you a Genesis fan for Peter Gabriel era or Phil Collins era?
I can't choose between the two.
Yeah.
All I can say is I grew up drumming and listening to the Phil Collins Genesis.
Fair.
However, I've seen in subsequent years Peter Gabriel performing with Genesis, like old video clips, and it's fucking amazing. It's crazy.
I brought it up because I
Yeah.
saw a video the other day, like not 2 weeks ago, and I just never seen them playing early Genesis stuff with Peter Gabriel, and it was,
Yeah.
they're so young and just doing really great stuff.
Yeah,
Very cool.
There was like one video, and it was just basically trained on Peter Gabriel. He had like long hair, and it was, I don't know what track it was or how I found it or whatever, but it was just like the track and his performance was just like crazy. It's like not how, because I just know Peter Gabriel was the older Peter Gabriel, not what he did
Like
in the
a
70s.
kid.
Yeah.
Like literally in his 20s, long hair,
Yeah.
creating some crazy cool music.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry for the tangent.
Tangent. Well, yeah, I mean, he went on to create Real World Records, which is a record label that like got over a lot of world music artists from Africa and all over the world, put them out on a record label. He created a music studio in a tiny village called Box in England. I visited, actually. I was able to go to his studio complex there.
Oh, very cool.
And he was there. I never met him, but he was in his studio control room upstairs, and he was like working on a track for like the Olympics or something like that. I could hear it blasting out, but I never met him, but he was there working on the track.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Real World Records, because I was making some world music, and I was trying to get them interested in my world music.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Peter Gabriel's all about that. Like he did the Tarzan like theme music and everything. The
Right.
whole soundtrack, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of worldy. But yeah, anyway. But prog rock is what we're talking about.
Prog rock, yeah, and King Crimson's another group. Yeah, so basically like Matt, like for some reason, as a kid, not even in the 90s, but in the 2000s, was really interested in this late 60s, 70s prog rock music, really gorging on all of these albums. And so when it came time for them to put this band together, in this after school thing. He seemed to have like won the day. I don't know who else was in the band, but maybe other people were like, "Oh, this music's cool as well."
Yeah, he won over the influence.
Won over the influence, and because they formed a prog rock band called Tabula Rasa. Tabula Rasa. Sorry. Jeez.
Yeah. It's a weird word. I don't know what that means.
But like, should we, for a bit of context, spin some King Crimson? Because have you heard of King Crimson? Like their music beyond just the name, like, or any prog rock music?
I mean, some prog rock. I do like even some like post-hardcore kind of prog rock.
Okay.
You know, when I think prog, it's anything that's, features long song lengths.
You call Muse prog rock, maybe?
No, but they take some elements.
Yeah.
But anytime they're experimenting, long solos or instrumental passages, really dynamic switches in the song, I'm kind of putting that in prog rock. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to just be these, Genesis from the 70s. There's still a lot of good stuff coming out today.
Yeah.
But it is definitely more underground.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question, or I don't even know what the question was.
Well,
but we're gonna play I'm gonna
play
King Crimson right
a
now.
King Crimson thing, because it's one of the bands that Matt is really into, and just want to see where some of his thought process might be coming from, or inspiration.
We're just gonna do a taster teaser here.
Yeah, because it's like a 7-minute long track. I'll play a few minutes of it, and then we'll come back. Just a little bit of taster of 21st Century Schizoid Man from King Crimson.
I feel like I've heard one of those drum breaks before, like as if it had been sampled somewhere else.
Quite possibly. But I mean, I was getting sort of vibes that maybe Jack White is like really into King Crimson as well.
That does sound, that sounds really good now that you say that.
Sounds like it could be like something he did with Raconteurs maybe or something like that.
So I'm hoping this is the right band, because I think I saw like 2 or 3 Tabula Rasas on Spotify, but I think if this is the right one, they did have their album that came out in 2016 called Crimson.
Yeah. So
obviously, I'm pretty sure alluding to King Crimson.
Yeah, which is why out of all of the prog rock music I could have played as a reference, I decided to go with King Crimson, since Matt and Mica's first group, Tabula Rasa, came out with an album called Crimson. He said that they put out 2 albums, so this might have been the second album they put out. I couldn't find the first one.
Yeah,
because you're right. I think there's some like Eastern European group on there called
Yeah.
that as well, or something like that.
Yeah. So, you know.
But this is a really great track. Can we play Tabula Rasa before we like as some context for where they came from? Because I was like surprised by this, and
they're both on this track?
yeah, Mica's on vocals.
Nice.
I'm not sure what Matt is playing, but the rest of the band members are on here as well. This is called Unspun.
Here between the oceans of the south, my castles made, bridges I had drowned, I'll soon be out. If happiness don't give, I won't give out. Shake it off like sand, give thanks to drown, I'll soon be out. I'll run to where the winter has unspun. I'll run to where I haven't run aground on that I Caught between the corners of your mouth, the smelling cute when you come out, I'll soon be
Crazy bass line at the end there.
Yeah.
The whole song could have just been that.
Yeah,
for
very
me.
funky. Oh, yeah, very cool. Like almost like a throwaway outro.
Yeah. That was insane. And these folks were 18, 19 years old
Yeah, kids.
making this music. This
So,
is
I
an
mean-
after-school band that we just played.
Yeah, they just got out of class.
It's got out of class, made that.
Maybe detention.
Yeah, Jesus.
But very good. So showing off their skills early on.
Yeah, I mean, super talented. I don't know who else is in the band because we only care about Mica and Matt from Magdalena Bay
Yeah,
right now.
Magdalena Bay is who we're talking about.
Yeah, so if you're just catching up with us, Magdalena Bay are Mica and Matt. They were in a band that they formed after school called Tabula Rasa. Basically, I think they all, graduated high school, right? And the whole band went to their separate ways.
Yeah,
to different
yeah.
colleges and stuff like that.
Yeah, Matt was the progressive rock kind of enthusiast, and Mica was like kind of Fiona Apple
Yeah.
on vocals and stuff.
Yeah.
Influence, and everything was feeling right, and then it wasn't, and they broke up. Yeah, but basically talk to me. Where are we at? They broke up, but they went separate ways, but they stayed. I think at this point is
So the band broke up, and
right
because they all individually as band members went to different universities
right.
throughout the country, and that for whatever reason, I think because of that, they were just like, the young band's not happening anymore. We put out 2 records, like we're not
Yeah,
famous.
it was probably casual.
Yeah.
We're 19 years old.
Yeah, and so like Mica, she went to Philadelphia, and Matt went to Boston. They're both studying separately, doing different things. Music, I don't know if Matt continues to do music. I'm going to say yes, because he's super into it, and he must have been monkeying around with something during this time. I don't know for sure. I do know that Mica had stopped kind of writing music during this period. Mm-hmm. And I heard people say about Philadelphia, what was it, the University of Pennsylvania,
Right.
people have described it as kind of like, it's like a pre-professional environment. It's very like sort of corporate-ish or something like that. Like as far as like
The school
universities, the schooling and stuff like that seems to be very sort of like, corporate is what someone said. And I'm like, that sounds strange. I've never heard of a university being
it doesn't
corporate
sound
before.
fun.
It doesn't sound fun.
Unless you're there for business school or something, maybe it sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mica said she liked it because she was like the only songwriter that was like there kind of thing. Everyone else was doing other things.
Right. She was like an art type person, and everyone else was like business type, professional, whatever.
Yeah. But like you said, she did gravitate more towards artistic people, and she said a lot of her friends have gone on to have aspirations to be comedy writers and producers. Mm-hmm. And like you said, she was actually in a comedy troupe herself, which it seems to have come in handy later on, which we'll talk about with the TikTok, in the TikTok age kind of thing.
No, very true.
But yeah, that's what she was doing. And she said she actually went to see the documentary about Amy Winehouse called Amy. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen it.
Nor have I.
It's on streaming platforms. Documentary about her life and career and death, I think. Mica said she watched that, and it was like, gave her kind of like a revelation. Like, she said, yes, it was a sad story, but she realized for herself as Mica that she needs to do music.
Right.
She's a songwriter. She needs to be doing this. Like, so it was like a wake up call for her. She started like playing around, doing her own demos. She was still in contact with Matt. So I don't know if they actually broke up as a couple. I think they might have stayed together, a long distance relationship, whatever.
Right.
And started sending him demos. He started getting into it, kind of thing. And this is kind of the first genesis of where they started to head in terms of this new project, kind of thing.
Yeah, and even at this point, they weren't like super dead serious about like, hey, we're gonna do pop music, we're gonna make a band.
Yeah.
It was still just kind of casual, like, hey, we're good friends, we used to make music, here's some ideas, casual.
And I think Matt had said that he wanted to continue doing music, but can't do the band thing because everyone's separate. So he thought that electronic music was like the way to go because you could do that long distance sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
Which is interesting to me because I think you could do anything like that now. It doesn't have to necessarily sound electronic. Well, I could lay down drums. You could lay down guitar in a different state, maybe something.
Yeah.
But that was the way he felt about it.
But I mean, and before they were doing progressive music, so I'm just guessing, speculating, but it'd be more difficult to organize these, songs with a lot going on
For that, I guess,
at the
specifically.
time,
Yeah.
with their given skill set at this young age.
Yeah, like they probably had a certain way of working of those
Yeah, this was
intricate songs
I
and
guess-
stuff like that. Yeah.
right. What we're talking about is them discovering how to do that and how to do what they know how to do best. And this is kind of what it's all culminating to,
Yeah.
which is Magdalena Bay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first genesis of it, right? And then they just kind of fell off from there. Not fell off, but they fell into it. And they got more into it.
They said they sort of decided on pop because I think they'd heard like some Grimes stuff or something like that and a few other artists.
Yeah.
Do you have the names of the other artists that they were listening to that kind of got them into this?
Yeah, like Charlie XCX.
Okay, haven't really heard who that is.
Yeah, I think she's pretty dope.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's a girl.
Okay, yeah.
I know she's playing in Brooklyn pretty soon.
Okay, get your tickets.
Yeah. Early 2000s pop stars like Gwen Stefani.
Okay.
You could certainly hear that in the vocals.
Yeah.
Kind of just the attitude style.
Yeah.
Britney Spears.
Right.
And then some other bands, MGMT,
Okay.
definitely with that kind of 80s synth pop stuff, especially what MGMT is doing lately.
Yeah.
Grimes, like we said, there's an artist called Poppy,
Okay.
artist called M83,
Yeah, I know M83. Yeah.
Purity Ring.
Okay.
And then just, I don't know if this one was called, if there's a band called Vaporwave, but just Vaporwave aesthetic,
Yeah.
which is that kind of 80s, like retro futuristic vibe.
I think that's the other part of why they're Magdalena Bay are getting kind of not hyped but popular right now, is because they're sort of accidentally hit upon like a really hip genre that's happening right now.
Right.
He said he'd never heard of Vaporwave, and he said like someone kept telling him that track Neon that we played earlier was like totally Vaporwave. And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, I think he like later listened to some other Vaporwave type chats and he was like, oh, okay, I guess it is. Like, I guess that's what we're making. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, so it's cool because it's not contrived, and they totally hit upon that sound that is kind of similar right now, just accidentally, like in a way.
I mean, we didn't play those songs back to back, but imagine that prog rock song that we played,
Right.
Tabula
Rasa.
however you say it, and then play that Neon song,
Yeah.
and like, wow,
Yeah.
a lot going on, a lot different.
But I do have a track here if we want to surprise both of us right now, because I don't think neither of us have heard it. It's Magdalena Bay's very first attempt at pop music.
And this isn't a standard release that you can find online.
This is on their SoundCloud.
Okay.
5 years ago, they uploaded this. It's called Voc Pop. Once they decided to like sort of hit upon like this new pop genre, they started to do this. So let's see what happens.
Check it out.
Secret pictures in my mind. Keep your story tied to mine. 'Cause you called me out. 'Cause you called me out. Still your fingers trace my spine. And my dreams, they come alive. 'Cause you called me out. When you looked me at love is like a radio song. It doesn't matter love about this bubble gum. It doesn't matter
Magdalena Bay. Those lyrics make me feel. As I was listening to what you're saying, what was it? Life is buggled down. Doesn't matter anyway. It just kind of gets a little bit more like sarcastic towards the end. It feels like, or something like
Yeah.
like kind of like they're taking the piss out of the genre, but but also taking it seriously and kind of going a little bit like
and
crazy with it.
In that way, I think they do relate to kind of MGMT, who also has this kind of cheeky attitude. Like they're, on one hand, they're actively making good music.
Yeah.
In the genre that they're in that arena.
Yeah.
But they are actually they're kind of making fun of it at the same time. Mm-hmm. But all in all, it's good content.
Yeah, yeah.
But they do have that kind of cheeky, tongue in cheek. Like they know what they're doing, and they're doing it well.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, because I've heard Matt say at some point that I think to start with, like making pop music was like half joke but half a challenge to them to see if they could do it, kind of thing.
Right.
And having watched a few of like their TikTok videos, they do have this kind of deadpan kind of like, it's like funny, but it's like it's just kind of sad. But, but deadpan, black humor, dark humor,
right,
like that.
No, 100%, you nailed it.
Yeah, I saw this. I don't know if you saw this. I'm going to play the audio. You can't see the video right now, but the video will be on the screen. This is the first video of theirs I watched on TikTok, and I thought it was fucking hilarious. Like, so.
Year, new me.
Oh, no, I've got to rewind it. 1 sec. Here we go.
New year, new me.
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 New year, new year, new year, new year. But I didn't ask to be alive.
It's like I was not expecting.
Yeah, I haven't seen that video. That's great.
Yeah, so I think that kind of sums up a little bit of their approach to the humor that they do on TikTok. Like,
yeah, and basically they put that same energy in a lot of the music too. Like you pointed out, some of their lyrics are, double entendres or kind of tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And similar, I'll bring up MGMT again because that's kind of their story is like, let's be a fake band just for fun.
Right. Okay.
But they just continue to make pop music, and they're doing it. So you make fun of it all you want, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that weird dynamic, you know, making fun of yourself, actually doing the thing you're making fun of. So it's a weird little loop.
Yeah, I think as far as Magdalena Bay go, though, as far as I can tell, I think musically they take it very seriously. Mm-hmm. Lyrically, they introduce some kind of poignant, sarcastic things, self-effacing things.
But and they are tackling these big ideas like existentialism by being playful and silly.
Yeah, yeah.
Even in their short little TikTok videos, and in the music as well.
This is kind of the irony and the funniness of this is because I feel like, is it fair to say that TikTok is what has gotten them the most sort of I think TikTok and YouTube has gotten them the most kind of fan listenership.
And I give credit to them for coming up with the strategy.
Yeah.
But I think TikTok is really propelling their rise right now.
And I think obviously they're very super talented at this. I know Mica, they both do all of this content themselves. I don't know how much of it Matt does, but definitely Mica is very into like the video editing and photoshopping and stuff like that. They both came up with the strategy, and it's funny you say strategy, but it's actually like more of an aesthetic that they sort of landed on. And to sort of touch on it a little sec, it's like a lot of their TikTok videos have this kind of VHS quality to it. They use like 90s camcorders to like film a lot of the footage and then edit it and mess around with it. They go on Internet Archive a lot to find old free like VHS random footage. I don't know if you've ever been on archive.org, but
I just went on today because of this research. I was like, what is the Internet Archive? It's exactly what it sounds like.
I discovered it years and years ago. It's like Craigslist in the way that they have not updated the web design since they started in like the 90s or something like that. Right. But it's really interesting, like ephemera, digital ephemera from all over the periods of time because you can go find stuff in the 50s, old B movies on Internet Archive and all that.
Right.
But they used it for some inspiration, and also kind of like the other weird inspiration in this is like early websites like GeoCities and like random blogs that people would create about their goats or something like that. And,
Right.
and like and they're just pulling this all in as an aesthetic, which is totally unique and crazy, really good. Like,
Did you happen to go on their website?
I did. And it's funny as hell. It's exactly.
Yeah.
I used to see websites that looked exactly like that in the '90s when I went to them. Like, so go check that out. Go find their website.
Just seemingly very basic. Like, tune in, go on your phone right now, go to magdalenabay.com or whatever it is.
But there's lots of rabbit holes. There's lots of pages that are just like, what am I reading right now?
Yeah, and I think they're kind of, because they've done that themselves on the Internet Archive or on the internet in general, on TikTok, and they find themselves in these like, chasing the rabbit down the hole, like that adage, or like just finding yourself in this, Wikipedia, hole. Like you just like, what do you call it? Like, you just like click on something, then you click on something else, and you click holes, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, oh, well, this is what we do for fun. That's interesting. Let's like kind of recreate that as part of our content. And so they make videos about this, and then their website is kind of based on that.
Yeah.
But like these kind of Y2K era, very simple, basic websites that, very retro.
Yeah.
And very old school. And they basically engineered it to be exactly how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
But so it is fun because it feels like a world, and it feels like all of their content is like this kind of world that you can enter and then get lost in. And it extends from their video content and their internet presence to their music as well.
Yeah.
It all feels very immersive.
I think it's great also because like not only, like the aesthetic, the art that they're creating, I would call this art. And like, it is immersive. You can go in to any moment, like any TikTok video or whatever, and be like, okay, I got to see more of this. Like that, I saw that one that was funny. I was like, okay, I got to see what else these people are putting out.
Yeah, at the very least, it intrigues you, and it's like, well, what are these people about?
Yeah, but I think it's also because Mica has said that they're not like they're internet savvy, but they're not like up to date. Like, so they don't really understand crypto, for example, and stuff like that. It's not like they've full on with that.
Almost like they're purposely living in the past as far as their internet strategy goes.
Yeah, and also like Mica has said stuff about, kind of social media is not the most healthiest thing, and she didn't say it in that way, but the sentiment was that, like people are the product, she said something along the lines of that kind of thing. And so they're very like aware that like what social media is, and they're just having fun with it and like laughing at themselves and the culture that surrounds it.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like,
It's so very kind of meta.
Meta, that's what they call that. That's what the kids are calling it. Meta, yeah.
Not the Facebook company.
No. He stole that.
Yeah.
From things were already meta before meta was meta, I think.
Yeah.
That's meta.
This is too meta. That's meta. So, I mean, they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Internet strategy, creating a world for the consumer and the patrons and the audience to dive into.
Yeah.
And I think they've been doing a really good job. That's how I discovered them.
Yeah.
Intriguing videos, intriguing presence online.
Yeah.
Did you see anywhere in the interviews where they were talking about being very online?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I've forgotten how to say it, but like that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say.
Me too.
Are you online?
Yeah.
Like as a saying.
Yeah.
Like, or being very online. Yeah.
Right.
They said people call them very online, but they said they're not online or something like that. I'm like, whoa, man. I'm old.
Am I online?
I'm going to get my pipe and my slippers and go back in front of my fire and read my William Shakespeare because I don't know what being online.
Get off my lawn, kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that wraps up our portion on their promotion strategy.
Yeah. We sort of veered into it because we were talking about
Yeah, what were we talking about?
how like
The last thing I remember was prog rock.
and then you zoned out.
Yeah, I blacked out.
How they met how they got into doing this. We played their very first pop track. I think we veered into it because of the lyrics in that track, Rock Pop.
Right.
And then I played that TikTok video, and then it was just, and then we went into our own click hole on this episode of Rooster Grooves.
We're out.
Yeah.
So awesome. Anyway, they're continuing to get better at their strategy with their music. They come out with a bunch of singles just in the past, a few years. It's 2022 right now. They started Magdalena Bay in 2016.
Yeah.
Since we're kind of at the beginning of their band, Magdalena Bay, just going to throw it out there. Where'd they get their band name? Magdalena Bay is a real magnificent bay in Mexico.
But that's not where they got the name from.
True.
Yeah.
True. I was setting you up.
I know. I thought is this a trick question? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're setting me up?
No,
okay. I thought you were setting me up to fail. No.
I was going to leave you. No, you know.
Yeah. So it comes from a name of a real person, right? Matt was working a job, right? And so some admin person was emailing him occasionally, like as part of his job, Maggie Bay. And her real first name is Magdalena. And he always thought that was a great name. And he kept it in the back of his head, thinking that it would be like a nice name for something. And then as Mica and Matt were trying to come up with a name for this project, he suggested it, and they just both looked at each other and said, yes, seems right. It works.
Yeah, it is an interesting name. Magdalena is a cool name.
Yeah.
And so are we saying it's just a coincidence that there's a real Magdalena Bay?
Yeah.
Like basically that's what we're saying?
Apparently.
That's the gist that I got. And
Yeah. I mean, unless they invented that story, which is quite possible.
Right.
To troll everyone.
They would do that.
It seems like something they might do.
Are you guys setting us up?
Yeah.
Mag Bay?
Maggie Bay.
Maggie Bay?
Let's hear from the real Maggie Bay. Email us at...
Yeah.
Seems like you're good at email.
Signl radio.com.
Yeah, now I think about it. I didn't question this when I was looking at it, but now we're talking about it, I'm like, is this a real story?
Right?
Seems a bit...
It's a little sus now.
It's a little sus.
We're going to have to revisit this.
Yeah.
Let us know if you got any information on this.
It's an interesting last name for someone, though. Bay.
Yeah. Mica and Matt hit us up. Let us know the truth.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're doing their thing. They're coming out with singles.
Mm-hmm.
I basically what I want to talk about is Mercurial World.
I know. We'll get to it.
Are we there yet?
Do you want to play... Well, I guess we can do it. We can skip over the EP. Or should we play a track?
Oh, we'll play a track from EP, yeah?
We'll just play a track. We won't talk about it. We'll play a track.
We're just going to play a track and then move on.
And then we'll move on.
Something chronic, bit demonic. I've been on the late shift, all alone, staring
All right, so the one, what a good track.
Yeah.
Just saying about that one is that it's just so competent.
Yeah, it is.
You know, just it sounds like at this point in their progression, they're hitting their mark. You know, like nice, well produced, competent pop music, and you could just tell like the difference on that track. You could hear how, like their production on the vocals, they just seem like they know what they're doing as far as the panning and production of where they want to place things and how they want it to be organized.
Yeah.
So great job. And the one other thing is that Kill Shot song was like their single off that EP, right?
Yeah.
Or that album.
Okay. Yeah.
In 2020.
Yeah.
And that did really well. It's a great song. But what people were doing online is they found that song and people liked it. And one of the things people do just in their house is they like slow down a song.
Okay.
You know, kind of like dubbing,
Okay.
like doing a dub version of a album or something like that. Khruangbin dubbed.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Dub version of.
Basically, where you just add reverb and slow it down.
Yeah.
Or whatever, something similar.
Yeah.
And or. But people did this online, and they took this Kill Shot, and it was slowed down and added a bunch of reverb. Just basically that.
Like making a dub track out of it, like.
Not, I don't want to say that because it's not that same like reggae dub.
Yeah.
But it is slowing it down, like physically, like slowing the track down, like making it twice as slow or whatever, and then adding reverb just for the vibes.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds like it might be awful. I don't know. Did it work?
Can you play a little bit? It's at the top of their Spotify. It's the most popular one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So who did this though?
I'll explain right before you play it. But basically, the Kill Shot came out.
Okay.
Then random people online slowed it down and put reverb on it, and people loved it. So that Magdalena Bay then came out with their own official track, and I think they produced it themselves. We'll just give a little taster right here real quick because it sounds cool. Same song.
Something chronic, bit demonic. I've been on the late shift. Staring at my phone. Sin and tonic, stupid promise. Something like a death wish. Staring to my soul. If I wanna stay
I'm not sure I get why you would do this though. I'm obviously too old or something like that. I don't, you know.
Just people gonna people. I mean, but I've even seen people doing it with, what's that lady's name? With, like Miley Cyrus's godmother.
Really?
Like she's like a country singer.
Are they like doing some weird dances to it or something? Do they switch the lights off? And put strobe lights on or something like that.
I don't know what they're doing in the behind closed doors, Jay.
Okay.
But people do this for the vibes, and honestly, it's a way to get like a different idea for like your own song. Or I was reading about this and stuff, and people would listen to some music and then slow it down, and they're like, oh, now if you slow this artist down, it sounds like this artist. And then so you can kind of for ideas.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'm just saying random people do random things and they sample it and change it and manipulate it. And then that's what people did with this song.
So just to be clear, is it like social media, random people on TikTok doing this, or is it like other music producers doing this?
And both.
Okay.
Just random people.
Okay.
We don't know.
I still don't understand this concept. It's fine.
They just did it for fun.
It just flew over my head.
It's just like it's a remix.
But
it's a remix.
Wow, man, I could do that. I could slow down a Michael Jackson track, put reverb on it, and then get sued. No, I don't know.
I mean, I know. But I'm just like paying homage to them for they realized the hype. Like, these people like that song. That's our song. They slowed it down and put reverb on it.
Yeah.
Let's produce it ourselves and release it so we can capitalize on that.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. I don't know the reason people are doing things, Jay. Don't ask me that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, that's a whole conversation. Yeah. Like, should we not sample any music? You know, we've talked about this.
Yeah. But I like the original of that, I guess. I feel like it doesn't improve it to me doing that.
Yeah.
Slowing it down and reverbing it.
To each their own.
Each their own.
We got to let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, it's true.
If somebody enjoys it out there, I'm happy for them.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to touch on that because it's kind of a cool little tidbit.
Yeah.
And that precedes.
I have a little tidbit because I just, for fun, I want to delay you getting to the Mercurial World album now.
We're never going to get there.
No, just to say, because, you know, they got a record deal, right?
Yeah.
And they are signed to Luminel Recordings, which is owned and run by Gorilla vs. Bear. I've heard his name. Not sure if I've really heard his music, but I know it's a popular person, right? Gorilla vs. Bear.
Yeah.
The way that came about is because Magdalena Bay on YouTube were doing cover songs, like short cover songs, I think. And one of them they did was Redbone, which is the Childish Gambino track. I think he must have, because he released it twice. Released it once. It didn't do very well. Got to like number 75 on the Billboard charts. They did their version. He released his version. It went to number 12 on the charts. And then all of a sudden it kind of blew up for them because people were finding that cover as well. And Gorilla vs. Bear stumbled upon them, found like some of their other songs. I think and something happened where they made contact, and Magdalena Bay were putting out a new original track, and they asked Gorilla vs. Bear if he would cover it. I think is how that went. Anyway,
cross-pollination.
Long story short, then they ended up getting signed to Luminel Recordings, which is his record label.
Nice.
And that's what they've been putting out all their material on since Mini Mix.
So another testament, these guys are just really good at creating and then capitalizing on hype.
Yeah.
And vibe.
Yeah.
Even, taking the 80s vibes and modernizing it.
They're just at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
With their genre pick as well.
Yeah.
It seems.
So I like how they choose something intentionally to go towards consciously, but then they're also like respecting the random things that you can't see before you make moves.
Right.
Things come out of nowhere, opportunities, ideas.
Yeah.
And they're branching out like, okay, we're going to try to do this, but let's not afraid to try this and this on our way.
Right.
So just cool stuff.
Yeah.
Are we at Mercurial Bay yet? Or Mercurial World? I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, we're at Mercurial Bay, which is a bar inside Mercurial World.
We should go. I need a drink now.
We're having a Mai Tai. Go.
Okay. Anyway, I don't even have that much to say, but it's just a top-notch performance. The production's on point. Yeah. It's the culmination of this whole story that we've been telling on Roots to Grooves.
Yeah, I mean, this is their first album, their first body of work. They, again, it's crazy to me but maybe not so crazy when we talk about artists and albums. They consciously sat down and they were like, we're going to make an album now. Right. And that's what they did. And they called it Mercurial World. 14
songs, came out in 2021, fresh off the press. Or let me go back to my notes. Yeah, but the songwriting's good. The flow, the sequencing is good. Creative placement of the end song at the beginning. So kind of how, and this kind of...
It's like a foreshadowing thing.
That's kind of the main thing I wanted to touch on is just their general idea of having a full picture and being able to see the big picture from the outside and like, how should we organize this?
Right.
So same thing, just coming from their videos and stuff and how they're utilizing this technology for promotion and strategy, to how they're organizing the sequence of their album, kind of going in this loop idea. The other artists have done as well. Mac Miller did that, and other bands with, what do you call those albums that are like concept albums? Yeah. So, yeah, the song at the end.
I think that's what Matt said as well, because the concept album was really heavy in prog rock.
Yeah, that's must be where they got the idea. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
good observation.
So he always wanted to do that, and a few things they've said about this. They said it has a lot of outsized themes on it, like destiny, death, and doing the impossible.
Big themes.
Yeah.
I like how these guys dive in. Like, if we're gonna make pop music, we're gonna make weird pop music.
Anxiety and paranoia. Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes into the weird pop music part of it.
Yeah, just general existentialism and questioning.
Existentialism, yeah. Yeah, because what is it that she starts out saying? Should we just like play the very beginning moments of this album, because it's kind of funny, like, and it's called The End, this track.
First track, yeah.
Wake up! I was thinking about how there's no true end to anything. Everything comes from and goes to the same place. Nowhere. So, if the beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning, then what's the end anyway? Does that help you sleep better? Like the rosy haze of an apocalypse sky. Or the comfort inside of a lie.
The comfort inside of a lie. I'm just like, it just sets it up. It's like okay, I'm in for something now. Like,
yeah. It's borderline comedy.
It is,
and it's also,
I think why
I mean commentary.
You know, I think we've talked about this before. Maybe we've talked about food in music. Mm-hmm. I think we might have touched on comedy and music a little bit on one episode. But this is definitely funny and comical, but it's also, for me, seems a bit topical. It's like there's a lot of stupid shit going on right now in society and internet culture and all these big tech companies and social media and all that, and the behavior of people on them, and Twitter and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Like Magdalena Bay, and then I think it's sort of like they're playing like the social media influencer role, but then like talking about existential things, which is something that people on social media don't really talk about.
Right.
But kind of being in a sarcastic, it's like, you know, I can be like this pop star, whatever you want me to be, but I'm also going to have like this fucking crazy thought about like
life, everything.
The comfort inside of a lie.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it's gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wrap a little like something dark in just pop music. You know, like questions, like existentialism. It's not the nucleus, but like they wrap it up in a big, beautiful pop song that's like easy to digest and listen to.
I think, didn't Mica say at some point that they think that modern day pop music is dark itself, and it hasn't really realized it yet? Like it's gone from like, it used to be like fun bubblegum pop music to like now some pretty like dark like lyrics and things are being explored in pop music. And I think they wanted to bring some levity towards that, I think.
And even if it's still dark, they're still bringing a kind of a lightheartedness to it. Because I have heard some songs on big radio stations, just whatever. Yeah. I don't even know the artist, but like downright depressing. Yeah, like not even like, not hopeful depressing. Just like, I don't want to listen to this.
Isn't there like some Katy Perry songs that are like kind of a bit depressing or something, like lyrically? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I've heard of one, not Raw or whatever, but there's like another one that's like
she does, I believe.
Yeah.
There's another artist, I can't think of the name off my head. They play it on 107.7, Seattle radio station, alternative station. I think I heard it at least a couple of years ago. I can't. I'll shut up now. But I see your point. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I had on Mercurial World 2021. It's their masterpiece up until now.
Yeah, I mean it's really, really well put together.
Right.
And the concept is not heavy-handed. I don't feel like, you know, because prog rock might be in the heart of Matt, truly, as a musician, but it's not something he's like forcing on Magdalena Bay or this album, even though, you know, there's basically themes. They're exploring themes throughout this, I think. But the music like is solid, the production's solid. I've heard Matt say as well, I'm pretty sure, I think he mixes and masters everything as well.
I believe you're right.
Like I think he wanted to outsource it, but he couldn't. He just like, it's kind of like his baby. He needed to take care of it.
And I mean, he seems to do a great job.
I mean, he does. Yes. I mean, flawless sounding to me. There was like some interesting things on a track called "Follow the Leader." I was listening to that track like towards the end of the album, as I was reading, and then like the track passed away, a couple more tracks played, and then I read about this. I was like, oh, okay, Vocaloid effect. Do you know what Vocaloid?
No, I think I remember them. I touched on this, or I came across this at some point, but I can't remember what it is. Is it like a vocoder type?
Singing voice synthesizer software product. I'm pretty sure it might sound like Steve Hawkins or on Radiohead, OK Computer album. There's that sort of digital voice.
Oh yeah,
in there,
it's like that
something
guy. That generic computer voice.
Yeah, similar to that. They wanted to like create this effect, but the thing they were looking at was too expensive for them. So Mica imitated Vocaloid like way of speaking with her mouth, and then they put Matt put some plugins on top of it.
Okay, to recreate that idea.
Yeah, and it worked, because when I heard the track, just without paying attention to it, like totally had that effect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, very cool.
Yeah.
Another thing they do
Yeah.
to work around and get to their end goal by way of unplanned events happening.
They do also say words are the last thing they do. They start out with just the music. And then sort of try and tie a theme and like the lyrics to it at the end.
Yeah.
So they don't come at it from a singing, songwriter, lyrical melody point of view. They do the music first and then
Kind of compartmentalize those two aspects of the production.
Yeah.
Very good.
I thought it was interesting. So
Well, they're doing something right, and I think it's working.
yeah.
Check out the track Sherry. That's the one we opened up with. Good track. You Lose, I think, was another single, which is good. But the whole thing's really good.
Yeah.
Start anywhere. The other thing I was going to say is that they have a bunch of singles. And like we touched on the mini mixes and stuff.
Mini mixes are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I started listening to them.
And those are essentially, most of those are like 1 to 2 minute songs.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we touched on it before, but a lot of those they were created directly for like TikTok videos to work together. And I think they made a lot of those songs specifically for the videos.
Right. So there's a lot of videos out there to those tracks.
Yeah.
Got to check those out. Yeah. You got to, maybe if you're going to start anywhere, start on the TikTok.
Just, yeah, go to TikTok.
Dive in. Or they have a YouTube as well, I think, with a lot of stuff on there. I haven't checked that out yet.
But the point being, anywhere you go, you find yourself in their world.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe starting on TikTok or YouTube is a good thing with them, because they do put just as much effort into the visuals as they do the music.
Right. It is an important aspect to their whole presence.
So I feel like, consuming what they're creating visually is like a really good thing to do. Like, although I started just listening to the music and I had one idea about it. Didn't even think about the aesthetics of it, and then I explored what they're doing aesthetically, and so it's kind of strange to me. It's like I didn't.
Right, you went the backwards way compared to me.
Yeah,
I saw him on TikTok.
Right,
then listened to the music.
Yeah. So, well, for me, it's kind of funny. Like, I'm all about just the music, like how things sound. Like the rest of it is usually marketing. Like, unless the people are doing something interesting visually. Like, there are some really great music videos that I love throughout time, the history of music. But like a lot of like recent day things, people aren't doing anything too creative visually. They're just like marketing or just doing a photo shoot. And,
right.
It's not really that interesting.
It's not really adding to their aesthetic or vibe.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't really care. It's like, let me go check out what you're doing. I'll look at your Instagram. It's like, not really that interested. I'm not a social media person like that.
Yeah.
If you're like Magdalena Bay though, and you're like putting together these music videos and crazy visuals and funny things, I appreciate that way more, because there's like a ton of like effort and work that's been put into that, and it's interesting in its own right. I think
100%. It's just high quality content to consume, and like they put these little existential questions or whatever wrapped in a joke, wrapped in their music. So I mean, just generally high quality.
Yeah.
So all the way around, their music is good, their attitude is good, their content is good. Check them out. That's all I got on Magdalena Bay.
should we play out?
Yeah.
Which track would you like to play out with?
Which one do we have loaded up off the last album?
We got a few. We
I put a bunch.
Dream Catching, You Lose. I felt like
Yeah.
I picked one out maybe from that album. Secrets. We didn't play that one yet, but yeah, I don't know. Anyone.
Dreamcatcher. I'm saying it's
Dreamcatcher.
the penultimate track on their this album.
Yeah, not their last album. Hopefully, not they're done.
The last album.
The last album.
Sorry, guys. We hope you make a lot of good albums.
Yeah.
We hope you're listening. But Magdalena Bay, hit us up if you have any corrections, tidbits of information. If you're worried about us, let us know. But do hit us up at the email, Jay.
Yes. Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.
Bye.
Picture Yoshino with pink petals floating in the air. I wanna go there. Train window facing east, and you're always next to me, and I'm next to you. I'm next to you. Meet me in the Swiss countryside. I saw a picture of it today, and I wanna go before I die. Big oceans blue. I wanna see all the views, 'cause there's so much to do, and I'm next to you. I'm next to you. Ooh, I wanna see it with you. No stopping, too much to do. Dream catching, always with you. Ooh, I wanna see it with you. No stopping, too much to do. Dream catching, always with you. Picture everything. The world at our fingertips and time for every trip. For all the things we want to try before we die. 'Cause there's so much to do. And I'm next to you. I'm next to you. Ooh, I wanna see it with you. No stopping, too much to do. Dream catching, always with you. I wanna see it with you. No stopping, too much to do. Dream catching, always with you. Dream catching, dream catching.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signal Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.